Hi everybody, my name is Hope.
And I'm Samson.
This is our YouTube channel, Hope for Samson, and today we want to talk to you about 4 ways to practice generosity when you're on a budget.
Boom. So let's jump right into it. When it comes to paying off debt and experiencing financial freedom, one big aspect of freedom, I think, is generosity, right? You want to be free so that you can live a life where you give. And so here's 4 simple ways that you can still practice generosity even while you're in baby step 2, paying off debt.
And if you're wondering why is it that I need to practice generosity when I have all of this debt that I'm trying to take care of, there's a couple of reasons that are so integral to this whole process that if you don't practice generosity throughout, it really steals part of the journey from you. And so we want you to have this full experience. And part of that is appreciating what you have more when you give a little bit away. It's so important and so valuable, and we want you to appreciate every moment of this journey.
Yeah. So the first thing that you can do is you can tip. I know that sounds really simple.
I'm the way more stingy person when it comes to tipping.
That's
Just
true.
to let you know.
That's true.
Full disclosure.
I'm a way better tipper. So here's the thing. Anytime someone is willing to serve you, especially in the service industry,
right,
where they may not be making a lot of money for what they're doing, let me just clarify, you should not be eating out a ton when you're paying off debt.
Caveat.
Right? And so you know you're not supposed to be doing that. But when you do, make sure you put that into your budget. That tip is included in there, right? Because you want to be the kind of person that honors the people that serve you.
And they might be doing their own debt-free journey. So that person, we have good friends that were doing Dave Ramsey's plan. My friend Meredith had a very successful job, but on the side she was a waitress, to try to make extra income so that they could go pay off their debt quicker. So you're actually helping other people potentially in their process. And so it's a good reason to practice generosity.
Number 2 is budget for gleaning.
Yes.
Now, that word gleaning might sound unfamiliar to you. It's actually from the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, God commanded farmers to not harvest the edges of their fields so that poor people, whether they're orphaned or widows or foreigners, to be able to come and pick up what the field workers had left over. And so that's how they would feed themselves. And so this probably is most famous in the book of Ruth, if you're familiar with the Bible. Because that's how Ruth met a guy named Boaz, who is a pretty important figure in the Bible.
From his lineage came this guy named Jesus, so if you're a fan of Jesus, be grateful for the concept of gleaning.
And so what this means is when you're sitting down, you're making your budget, make room intentionally in your budget to give. Right? To give away. And so that could be simple enough of saying, hey, you know what? When we're making meals for our family, we're going to make some extra food so that we can give away some food to friends who we know that could use it.
In the Bible, it talks a lot about charity, and charity is a great thing, but it also kind of denotes this is an option for you if you'd like to give. That would, help other people out, and it'd be nice. But in the Bible, it's actually a mandate. Like, charity's not a choice. God says give, and so you don't get to really choose and be like, well, I guess if I want to be a better person, then I'll give more, but that's not really how the Bible operates. Every time it speaks about giving, it's a mandate, and it's something that we're supposed to do, not something that we do if we're feeling a little extra generous today or tomorrow.
Yep.
Number 3 is tithe, and we kind of already touched on this a little bit, but sometimes when you're going through this journey, you can be tempted to be really tight in every aspect of your financial freedom. So the Bible actually instructs us to give 10% of our income. We did that throughout our entire journey, and then some.
Tithing to me is simply a systematic way of giving to something bigger than yourself.
Yes.
Right? It's giving in a way where you don't have control over that money. And you're reminding yourself that you're simply a steward of your finances. That really all of this belongs to God. And so every time you give, you're teaching yourself, this is not my money.
Right. But I think it's important to kind of say in here that that might have rubbed you the wrong way just now, saying that God gave you what you have now. You might be the kind of person that grew up thinking, well, I haven't had it easy. I've had a really hard life. Everything I have is because I've worked really hard. I've pulled myself up by my bootstraps, and that might have been your mindset up until this point. But we're kind of challenging that to be like, who gave you your boots that you're pulling up yourself with? And all of us are given something, and all of us are given everything ultimately. And so that's what Samson is meaning when he says a steward of what you've been given. It's not something, a concept that you might have thought of a lot growing up or in your understanding of finance, but it kind of is important to get that aspect of, no, I have been given much. That's why I feel the need to give.
Yeah. The fourth and last thing is to give up to give. You know it's really giving when it hurts a little bit.
Right. If your giving is only inconsequential to you and you never really feel the pain of it, then it's not really deep down generosity. When we talk about generosity, we talk about giving that is hard.
And so I remember when we were in year 2 of paying off our debt, we had made a decision that I had made a decision. I wanted to make a purchase for my freelance video business. And so I thought of this drone that I really wanted to purchase. And, we saved up for it. And, it was going to be,
This was not a fly by your seat of the pants purchase. This was Samson being very methodical. We were setting aside a little bit of money every single month for a long time so that he could purchase this drone. So it wasn't something that we just kind of like, oh, you know what I'll do today? I'll go buy I don't even know how much a drone is. How much is a drone?
It was expensive. It was pricey.
I don't know.
And I remember that week that I was going to make that purchase, we heard about a friend who unfortunately had been laid off.
Yes.
And right as I was driving down the road and I heard about this, I felt it in my heart that I was supposed to take that money and give it to them. And so I called Hope and I said, hey, this is what I think God wants us to do. Are you okay with that? And I don't know about you guys and how your couple relationship works, but I always we make it a practice of running these things by each other.
Yes.
And almost always, in fact, I can't think of ever of a time where one of us has felt that and the other person's like, no.
That's true.
Right? And we just feel like if God puts that on our heart, then we're going to follow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so we said yes to that. And so that meant giving a pretty large gift to a friend that was in need. And it hurt a little bit, to be honest with you.
And you might say, why would that hurt Hope? It's not like she was going to enjoy the droid, because if you know me, I wouldn't enjoy the droid. Like,
it's a drone, not a droid.
Let me say that better.
No, you said it perfect.
It clearly wouldn't matter much to me because I wasn't going to be the one using the piece of equipment. Okay? It wasn't going to really deeply affect me. But what Samson just kind of brought up is how we operate as a couple. We have actually a rule, and you might have something similar. You might institute something similar that might be helpful for you. We don't spend $100 without talking to the other one first, even to this day. So, that's kind of a way that we don't have to micromanage each other. We each have our own individual little side budgets that we can spend. But when we're making big purchases, y'all, you have to talk to your spouse. You have to let them know, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I want to do with this, how do you feel about that? You can't just be the one that comes in like a wrecking ball and makes all those decisions for yourself, because ultimately, this is a partnership, and you guys are going to end up spinning your wheels if you can't agree on things like that.
Absolutely. And as you give, here's the last thought I just want to leave with you. When you're pinching pennies and you're trying to save up all you can and pay off debt as quick as possible, and your budgets are super tight, one thing that can happen is you can start to feel like money is ruling you.
Yes.
And when you give, you are saying, I don't even rule my money, God does. Right? And you are trusting God. And let me tell you, this whole process, it is utterly meaningless if you do not trust God in the process.
Yeah. That's it for this week. Go ahead and leave us a comment below and let us know of a time that you felt like you needed to be generous. And we want to see that. We want to know how you exercised that and how it was a benefit to somebody else. So that's it for this week. We hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I know that Charlie did not, but hopefully y'all did. Thanks.